last fight, which I think it's one of the best fights of this year. It's
Yeah,
definitely
yeah,
got.
yeah, yeah.
I think the MMA awards are in December. I mean, it has to be up there for one of the best
For sure.
fights. And I think with Chase, who's been on a little bit of a roll now. I mean, he was kind of in that
Yeah.
desperation mode.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like he kind of needed that. Where this
Yep.
guy, it's his debut. He's 23. There's
Yeah.
one of the biggest stages is Sydney.
Yep.
I think the last super card there was Ronda
Ronda
Rousey.
Rousey, yeah.
So that arena, which just talk about that experience, getting to go to another country, to
Yeah.
Sydney, where that big moment happened, that arena.
Yeah.
I mean, do you visualize a lot going to this fight?
I'm excited, man. I'm excited to go see new places. And that's one of the things that I said I was going to use fighting for. I said I'm going to use fighting to see the world. And I'm excited that I get to go to Sydney. Never been. Mick Maynard, the matchmaker, he's from there. And I get to go at least 10 days early, to get acclimated because they're like 15 hours ahead of us.
Yeah.
So I'm anxious to see, everybody talks about how beautiful it is. It's so pretty. It's the water and this and that. So, I mean, of course I'm going for business.
Yeah.
But, then I got some friends out there that one of the guys that was actually one of my original training partners when I first started fighting. His name is Daniel Jacare Almeida. He's out there. So, I'll have people out there. So I'm looking forward to going to Sydney, seeing Sydney and trying to see the beautiful, beautiful country.
Now, is that how long is that flight? Was that
17 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
How many movies are you bringing?
Man, I can't sit in my house for 17 hours. I tell people that if I'm in my house, I gotta go. So it's gonna be a challenge flying over there. Just having to get up and walk around but it's gonna be kind of tough, man.
When you're on any kind of long trip, I mean, do you like to kind of escape in a movie? And since this is for business, are you going to watch more of what he's done, or
Yeah,
how are you going to escape?
I mean, I've watched so much stuff
Yeah.
from him. I've watched stuff to him that he don't even think that he knows I
Yeah.
can watch. Like training footage and all that stuff. I get all that kind of stuff. But he doesn't. I mean, people don't know that, but I like to read. I mean, I'll watch. I might watch a few movies. But most certainly, I'm gonna replay the game plan in my head over and over and over and over again until when I step into that octagon, man, it's gonna be like muscle memory. It's just gonna be over and over and over. I'm gonna see myself beating him. I'm gonna visualize myself finishing him in five to 10 different ways the entire way over there.
So are you a big fan of watching a lot of taping on opponents? I know Donald Cerrone's openly said, I don't watch at all. I mean, do you think that's very important to watch over and over?
Some people are different. I like to watch footage. A lot of people, like me, people try to watch film with me, but honestly, I change every single fight. I don't fight every fight the same that I fought the last fight. But what I watch on this guy is he's the same guy every single fight. He does the same thing every single fight. So I like to watch footage, and I like to find out what his habits are. If he does this, or if he drops his hands, or if whenever he stops moving, he likes to throw this. So I break it down. That's why when I watch all the UFC fights, just regular fight, I watch it like film. Like a lot of people, they're just fans. They're like, I watch it like, man, but I watch it like film. I watch. Where's the foot placement? Where's their head going? I watch all that.
Do you have a heart, I've noticed this sometimes, going in to see movies, because I've done a lot of different, short films and stuff like that. So when you watch a movie, you're dissecting it based on, the camera angle and that. Do you kind of approach fighting like that when you watch a fight? There's always a fan because you're doing it and competing, but you're, dissecting, no, I would have done this movement different. I would have moved my head. I would have hit through this combo.
Always, man. And like I said, you look at them, you look at their movements, and you look at the mistakes that the person that they was fighting made. And that's when you start piecing together your game plan. Okay, this person lost because of this, so we know that he's going to capitalize on this. So you need to do this, you need to do that. So I watch it from both aspects. All his fights I've watched the people that he's fought, and I've watched the stuff that he's done. I watched the stuff that they've done, and I'm just like, why does this person do this, or why? So it helps me to know what I need to do when I step in there with him on November the 18th. Now,
do you like to make predictions for your fights at all, or you just kind of go with the flow?
No, I don't make predictions, man. I just know that I'm going to win. I always feel that way. I never make predictions because it's a fight. Anything can happen. All it takes is one punch. All it takes is one slip, whatever it is. But a lot of people, they want you to say, "Oh, I'm gonna knock him out in this round." That's not my game. My game is I just believe that I'm gonna win. I don't know how I'm gonna win. I just know that he won't beat me. He won't outwork me. He won't outstrike me. He won't out-wrestle me. I'm going to win, and it's not going to go to the judges.
Well, one thing that I've always pointed out, I've had, several of you guys from, Fortis on the show, that's always been your guys' composure, even in that fight against Chase. Big moment, UFC debut, Dallas, one of the best cards I feel of the year.
Yep.
And you're so composed. Like, I've been here before, even though you haven't been in the octagon, but of course in the sport, but you just felt so composed in there. Does that come from, certain training that you see under Safe, or is,
Yeah, man. One thing that I've learned was blowing your gas tank, and like never let the emotions get to you. Because once you're in there and you get all excited, you get let the emotions get to you. That's when you start getting tired. I've always been a calm fighter from the first time that I fought. I've always been that person that's like, wait for it, boom. And that's why I have all finishes. I have all knockouts because I wait for the opportunity to present itself. And when I fought for the UFC, the minute that I stepped foot in the organization, the fight week, I felt like I belonged there. And then when I walked out and I looked around, I see all the crowd, and I see my name in the lights, and I see the people screaming, I see the people hanging over the rail. I bump fists with Bruce Buffer, you know what I'm saying? And I see Joe Rogan at weigh-ins, he daps me up, and I look and I'm like, man, I belong here. So when I step foot in there, I'm just thinking like, I've been in harder sparring sessions at my gym. Yeah. Like, we've been put in every situation I could possibly be in. So that's another place where the calmness comes from.
Well, I mean, I just think that night the energy too was just crazy. I mean, I think everybody was on the edge of their seat. I mean, it was like something you see out of a movie.
Yeah.
And I in my opinion, no matter what the result was, both of you guys walked out with glory in my eyes, because just that excitement, that intensity. I mean, there was a lot of good fights, but this is one people still talk about. When I tweeted, because I know we were supposed to meet a couple weeks ago on the show, somebody mentioned, a media guy mentioned, that I love that fight.
Yeah.
Like, this is something people are going to be talking about for a while.
Yep.
Now, with that being said, going into this fight, do you see this as a potential? I could see it as a potential fight of the night.
Oh yeah. I don't ever want to be in another fight of the night.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I want to get performance of the night, knockout of the night, or submission of the night. But it's going to be a very exciting fight. I believe that because he has all knockouts, I have all knockouts, and I think that, man, I just think that I like to be the spoiler.
Yeah.
I fought at home so much. Like, a lot of my fights, at least 5 of my fights have been here at home in front of the home crowd. And every time I go to somebody else's backyard, it's a devastating knockout. Everybody that I fought in their backyard. So I'm looking forward to going to Australia. I'm looking forward to the booze. I'm looking forward to the trash talking. I'm looking forward to people thinking that he's going to walk through me. That gives me energy. I feed off of that. And then I think it could be, I ain't going to say fight of the night, but it's most definitely going to be some fireworks, man.
Well, they're definitely big fight fans down there. Now, I know even going back to Ronda, and that there wasn't any, Ronda from America, but I mean, they love that fight. I mean, they just love the energy of fighting. Yeah. Are you so pumped about that, just to feel that energy off of that crowd?
I'm going to walk away with some Australian fans, man. Trust me. I'm going to take some of his fans when I leave. So I am excited about that. I'm excited about the atmosphere. I'm excited about fighting in another country. I'm excited about all that, man.
Is this your first time fighting out of the country?
It's my first time.
First time.
I ain't gonna say leaving the country because I just got back from Dominican Republic, but going that far, yes.
So first time across the sea,
man, across the world.
Yeah. So you said you want to kind of experience Sydney. Are you gonna get a chance to do a little bit beforehand? Or are you gonna try to kind of stay an extra day? Or
no, I'm gonna do it a little bit beforehand. Like wrap up some training sessions and then go. So I don't lose my mind. Wrap up some training sessions and then because I'm gonna be out there in advance and I'm gonna need things to do and just see it, man. Like once I get done training, don't sit in my room. Keep my mind fresh, keep everything free, and just walk around and explore or have my boys take me around somewhere.
Anything you want to see in particular down there?
Everything, man, and everything that I just like sightseeing. I like to see new stuff. I like to see new cultures. I like to see like that country's traditions. I'm open to see anything, man.
Well, there is that famous orchestra hall there. Music's real big there, so that's something I've always thought would be cool to check out.
Check it
there.
out, man. I'll take some pictures and post them.
Go to the beach a little bit. I know that their seasons are a little bit different than here. I don't know. Is it?
But I think it's kind of like California. Year round.
Yeah. So there's not like I think they have the Santa Claus surfing down there. I think so. I want to say that.
I don't think they experience winter.
Yeah.
I think it's like year round like California.
But we don't here either, really.
I know for a few weeks.
We may get one day of winter. And just going back to this fight, I think this, in my opinion, is a very important fight for the heavyweight division. I almost think a lot of these upcoming heavyweight fights are because just the state of the division and going to that card. Me and Austin were talking about, of course, the big news: Mark Hunt removed from the headliner. What was your thoughts on that? Obviously, we're seeing in football about CTE, and of course, he mentioned that he's having some member loss, and I know he was frustrated with the UFC, but in the end, you got to think it is for his best interest if he is experiencing these things.
Honestly, man, I think Mark Hunt has like 3 fights left on his contract, but I think that he just needs to go ahead and hang it up. He's been a warrior for so long.
Yeah.
He has nothing left to prove, man. And I think, and I also think that's going to take a toll on my opponent because my opponent is Mark Hunt's training partner.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they were in Thailand together. They trained together. Like he's his main sparring partner, and he was looking forward to him and Mark Hunt fighting on the same card. So psychologically, I think that's kind of like a dump for him, a drain for him. But as far as Mark Hunt goes, man, I would like to see him walk away, man, because I think it's a good idea. I don't know the full extent of it as far as why they pulled him off. I think they said it was because of the interview and some of the things he was saying, but I think it's for his best interest, man. I really do.
Well, he's been in so many. You mentioned
Wars.
kickboxing wars. I mean, and yes, he beat Derek Lewis, but before that, he got knocked out by Overeem. I mean, he's had those.
Not Overeem, then Dos Santos and
Verdum,
Verdum and Big Country, and I mean he's been in some wars. And that war he had with Bigfoot Silva.
Oh yeah,
man, that was 5 rounds of just brutal. He's taken, then not to mention, before he even got signed to the UFC, the name he made for himself in K1, all the fights he had in K1.
Oh, yeah.
His brain is I would like to see him just not fight anymore.
Well, yeah, and though, you mentioned, Fight of the Night, those, rock'em sock'em, as you could say, might seem exciting, but those take toll. So does that play on you a lot too? You were like, yes, I get that the Fight of the Night's exciting, but I got to think about my health too. Just gauge it in a back and forth.
But the thing with me is, honestly, I haven't taken that much damage. Because I haven't been fighting for so long. And also, if any of my fights you go back and look at, man, I don't take damage. The name of the game is to hit and not get hit. It's an old boxing saying. So I pride myself on not taking damage. Even when Chase Sherman hit me, he wasn't hitting me like causing damage. When he hit me and dropped me when the ref stopped it, it wasn't because I was knocked out. It was because when he hit me, it jolted me because he hit me like in the back of the head.
Yeah.
And when my legs bent, my leg just gave out, and I couldn't stand up no more because my quad muscle was torn. So I couldn't catch myself. And then that's the ref was like, man, your knee is gone.
See, that's what I thought happened mostly. I didn't even really, catch the elbow of that. I thought it was just the leg because I saw that the leg was visible that it was bothering you. I thought, okay, the leg just kind of gave, and that's why. And I didn't see like an elbow or anything like that. I was like, because those knees when they go.
Yeah, but like I said, I couldn't stand. I tore it in 2 places, but I make sure, man, that I don't take a lot of damage. Like I don't get in gym wars. I don't, let my hands down, let somebody rock me if they catch me clean. No, I'm not. I'm not about that. I'm about finishing the fight, taking as least amount of damage as possible, and cashing my checks, man.
Are you pretty careful? You mentioned don't get in gym wars, which, there's been a lot of fighters who get in that. That's kind of where, that battle happens before even, the fight. Are you very careful with that, and even selecting who you're sparring with and knowing?
Yeah. Well, in our gym, there's no wars. Coach might be like, hey, man, all right, I want to pick up the intensity on hard sparring, but even when I hit somebody, if I hit somebody, boom, and it's solid, I know how to control myself.
Yeah.
And that's the good thing about my gym is that we don't have any egos. We don't have anybody that's trying to prove themselves, and everybody knows how to control their sparring, hard control sparring. And for me, it's just like, man, I'm just thankful that I got a great group of guys around me that, we can all spar and get good work in, and there's no wars like that go on in our gym.
Well, because I used to hear about the stories of like Shudo Box and that they would have just battles, and it happens with a lot of gyms. I mean, there's guys that have those battles, but in the end, those take a toll.
They
do. And then
it all adds up, bro.
It shows Fight Night.
Yep.
It shows Fight Night. How long did it take for you to get healthy again after that injury?
Well, it took me. Let's see. I could barely walk a week after. So I went to Vegas the following week for the fighters retreat, and then man, it took me at least. I got a great doctor, Dr. Travis Mann. He helped get me better, man. He took care of me, and I think it took me about anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks before I was able to run.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so which was actually fast. I didn't have to have surgery. Oh. It was torn in 2 places all the way across, but not all the way through. So it wasn't like the muscle was torn completely in half, but it was torn all the way across.
Wow, it's good because usually when you hear the word tear, you've surgery. So that's great that you didn't have that, because that would have been in more months with the surgery.
Terrible, man.
What were some particular exercises that you were doing to help that?
Really, all he did was he has techniques that he uses, like it's called scraping, and then I did where he takes a metal tool and he scrapes the broken fibers like to where they're like this, when he wants to line them all back up together. So he helped with that. He did that every day for not every day, well, it's at least 4 times a week. And then I would also get cupping, and then I would also get massage, and I would also get electrotherapy and all that. Man, I just constantly stayed in his office getting worked on, and he gave me a few exercises to do, like leg extensions with the ball or resistance bands, just to build that back up. But it was mostly him working on me that really sped up my recovery.
Is cupping something newer? Because I've seen it. I won't go on Instagram. I just see other fighters or athletes been doing it. How long has that been going on for?
I don't know. I just started using it this year. So I think it's fairly new to the sports world, but I'm pretty sure it's been around for quite some time.
Can you explain a little bit for those that might not know what we're talking as far as the cupping?
Yeah, they it's like little jars, like glass jars. They put it on anything like a hurt muscle or a partially torn muscle, and what it is, it's like it sucks, like it's replenishing the blood in your muscles, so it's bringing fresh blood to the tear to help it recover a whole lot faster. So they stick it on there and they suck in it, and it sucks your the skin up. It looks like the skin is like a bubble that's creating in the cup, but it's really bringing all the blood to the surface or to the area that's injured, and it's helping it recover, bringing fresh blood into the tear, to the muscle, to help it heal a whole lot faster.
See, I've seen some people post that, and then they just got spots all over. Like, what is that from? They're like, oh, it's cupping.
Yeah, it looks like it leaves kind of like a hickey. Kind of like it leaves like a hickey on your skin whenever you're done, like the outline of the cup on your skin.
How long does that last for?
They just leave it on there for a couple of seconds. Yeah. They'll stick it on there and maybe like 30 seconds to a minute, and then they'll take it off.
Are you big into acupuncture at all?
I had some acupuncture done. I had I've had it done a few times, but I'm not like really big into it. I go to, like I said, Dr. Mann. He doesn't really do acupuncture. I let him do a whole lot of other different things to me to help me heal my body, but not too much.
Do you feel like, okay, so between like chiropractors and that healing specialists are a really good go-to?
Of course. Yeah, it's always good to get the body maintenance, man. I go to him every week because, man, there's so many nicks and knacks that your body gets, the injuries that you don't even expect, like just small stuff, like, man, just like your elbow rubbing against the cage and it create, like numbness in your feelings because of the nerve. So you don't realize how much your body goes through until you go to one of those guys, and then they're able to tell you, well, hey, man, this part of your body hurts because it's overcompensating for an injury that you actually have right here. Then they work on that, and it's very helpful. It's very needed.
Now, have you ever seen? I saw Cody Garbrandt before the Dominic Cruz fight. He has this specialist that does this nose, like it looks like it clears out the passageway.
Nasal,
yeah, but they use like a balloon. I don't know. It was crazy. Like it put pretty much a whole balloon in his nose.
I don't think I could do that, man. That might
It's like a kettle pot.
Yeah,
It's like for allergies and shit, right?
Yeah.
They I've seen some people do some stuff like that, like with the saline that goes through one nostril and comes out the other one. But if he puts a whole balloon up there, man, he might have something wrong with his nasal cavity.
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't look like a fun process.
He had his nose broke a few times.
Yeah, I mean, I've battled allergies. I don't know if I'll go that extreme.
Right, yeah, me either.
But, I mean, it seems to work. To each his own. Seems to work
for sure.
for him. Going back to this card, Hunt is out, but looking at Fabricio Verdum just got the call to step in against Tabora. What do you think about that fight?
I don't see Tabora beating him in any way. Fabricio's stand-up is very much underrated, bro. His stand-up is so underrated.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, he pieced up majority of the people that, like, this new Verdum that's come out since. Look at the way he pieced up Cain Velasquez.
Yeah.
His clinch game with Kane, his knees, holy
crazy.
shit, bro.
His clinch game is good. Just his whole boxing game, his all-around game, period. And then, then of course, on the ground, it's no contest. He's a multi-world champion in jiu-jitsu. They say he's arguably the best jiu-jitsu practitioner to ever fight in the UFC. So
yeah, I mean, even Nogueira had problems with it. Of course, he submitted Nogueira, which Nog's a legend on the ground. And I mean, really, his only time where I felt like he looked not visible, of course, is that counter hook from Stipe, but he was rushing in on that.
Stipe hit him while he was coming, or used his momentum. He was coming forward. He just walks right into it, just boom, and just he used his momentum and his accuracy and just put him out. And
even in the Travis Brown fight, he looked really good, real technical, even in Overeem. I know the Overeem fight might not have been the most exciting, but it was a little technical war going on right there. But I mean, and then what we saw this last Saturday against Walt Harris. I mean, hey, kudos to Walt Harris for stepping in. I mean, because let's say this. Remember Junior Dos Santos' debut against Fabricio Verdum? No one knew who Junior Dos Santos was.
He knocked him out of the UFC, right?
Yeah, pretty much. That was it right there. And, I mean, you never know. I mean, this sport is crazy.
Good, for me, they just should have took Verdum off the card and not taking the fight from Godbeer to move Walt Harris up.
Yeah.
Two completely different fighters. You go from fighting a striker in Mark Godbeer to the world's best jiu-jitsu practitioner in less than 6 hours. I wouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
I mean, either they would have had to pay me a lot more, a lot of money, or Fabricio just would have been out of a fight. I'm sorry.
Well, Walt Harris went to Twitter. I love his sense of humor. It's like, do they give out participation trophies?
Yeah.
It's kind of like Little League days. Like everyone gets a trophy.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah.
I mean, but I think at the end of the day, both guys, so much emotion, and we kind of touched on this before, with the whole Vegas leading up that week, emotional roller coaster. That week was, I think, just everybody just seemed fired up to just ready to go out there and put on performance. So, kudos again to Walt Harris. But Verdum is, he's back on track. And I see that fight with Tabora. I mean, I see it actually ended in the first round.
Yeah, man. I mean, I didn't think Tabora was gonna win versus Mark Hunt. I think Mark Hunt just carries too much power. Yeah. And I honestly, man, I think that Verdum is just he's too much for him. And in my opinion, they could have got somebody else to fill the spot. But I think also they kind of did that to piss off Mark Hunt. After Mark Hunt went on that rant, he wanted to fight Verdum.
Yeah.
And Verdum was scheduled to fight Derek Lewis. And so they're like, all right, you going to go in your little rant, watch this. And then they're going to bring Verdum to his hometown. Yeah, that's kind of dirty, bro.
Yeah, I mean, but Verdum's one of those guys. He's very well liked in a lot of places, and but I think just Verdum wants to quickly get up that ladder. I don't know that we're going to see him and Lewis again. I don't know. Lewis's back is just.
But this doesn't do anything for Verdum.
No,
I think Verdum is just staying active. So I mean, it's not going to do anything for him to get him up in the runs. I think he just wants to continue to fight and not sit on the shelf for as long as he did. And I think that they should reschedule him and Derek Lewis.
Yeah.
And then I think the winner out of that might get, they might get Stipe.
That is a thing about Stipe right now. He's kind of in a neutral territory. Like, you really don't know. I mean, we do have Overeem and Ngannou. That fight right there is exciting.
Yeah.
Of course, we mentioned Kane. Austin, you mentioned Kane. And, I mean, we haven't heard anything from Kane right now. In my opinion, I think Kane is close to number one contender sitting right there. But he's not. He's kind of like a heap. Yeah.
I think Kane has to come back and prove himself because he's been off so long. We all know what he was capable of doing. But, can he come back and pick up where he left off? That's the crazy part. And, like, Francis Ngannou and Overeem, I like Overeem. That's another person I like to see retire.
Yeah.
Because his chin is just gone.
Yeah.
I think if Francis lands one, it's gonna be ugly, man.
Well, and they just did pretty much the Overeem Stipe fight. It was last September, but it's still pretty fresh in the minds. And Francis is new. He's something different. We haven't seen him in the mix yet. And, of course, if he can win against Overeem, I think he's pretty deserving of that title shot. Just mainly because, I mean, without Kane in the picture, I don't know who. I'm kind of surprised they matched him up with Junior Dos Santos, even though that fight did not happen. Junior just coming off of that knockout loss.
Yeah. Man, you know what? I don't think Francis needs a title shot that quickly. I think he needs a fight. I mean, once he fights Overeem, yes, that'd be good. And then I think he needs to fight one more top prospect. I want to see him and Derek Lewis.
I still want to see that. Their little battle on Twitter was funny.
I want to see them settle their beef. So I think that, what I think is going to happen is, I think that once Verdum wins, I think Verdum is going to get the title shot.
Yeah.
And I think that they should match up Ngannou and Lewis, and the winner out of that gets the winner out of the heavyweight title shot.
Yeah, I mean, that grudge, between the two, it needs to be settled. Yeah. And the thing with, like you said, with Overeem, I think he does need one more. Because Arlovsky, though it was, he's on his way good fight, he's on his way down. Yep. So Overeem would be a big test. But, Lewis, and you got to question a lot with Lewis's back and that going in the hunt. I'm not taking anything from Mark Hunt, but he wasn't you could tell he wasn't the same. And he was pretty active up to that point. Yeah. So
I agree, man. Derek Lewis is. I like Derek Lewis. I just I don't know, man. I think he's gonna have trouble with somebody that actually pushes the pace. Yeah. But what I will say about him, I like him, man. I like watching him fight. I think he's a force to be reckoned with. No matter who you've thrown in there with him, he's come out on top. And they put him in there with grapplers. They put him in there with strikers and. When you think he's going to get submitted, he doesn't. Like, he's just so big. He's so powerful. He's so strong. And that's one thing that works to his advantage is his strength and his power. Like, he's strong, bro.
Well, outside of Mark Hunt, his only real big roadblock was Matt Matrione.
Yeah.
And, I mean, that was kind of soon in his UFC career. Yeah. Very emotional fight. Both of them kind of got into it, got caught. But after that, Derek went on a huge winning streak.
Yeah, man.
And he just didn't improve it. I mean, what's your thoughts when you look at the UFC heavyweight division now? I mean, it only takes a couple wins, two wins, and they throw you in there. What's your take overall on the heavyweight picture right now?
In my opinion, man, I don't see any real threats other than once you get to the top 10. Top 10, and then those guys that most of them they've been around for a long time. And look at Francis Ngannou. I mean, yeah, he's been signed with the UFC. He's had a few fights, and he's already ranked like number 4, number 5, something like that. You know what I'm saying? He's ranked higher than Derrick Lewis, I believe. So I mean, it just takes. You just gotta win. You just gotta win, bro. And I like the heavyweight division. I like my odds in the heavyweight division.
Yeah.
I just want to stay active.
Yeah.
And so after this fight, I want another one.
Well, and I think this fight, what's important is getting more fighters in the mix there in that division.
Yep.
And getting more, people active in that, because we're kind of seeing the same matchups. We're seeing the same. Honestly, and me and Austin were talking about that, about the flyweight division. I mean, yeah, Mighty Mouse is the king by far.
Yeah.
But, I mean, he's looking at a possible another rematch with Cejudo if Cejudo beats Pettis.
How about that submission?
That armbar
think
submission
about that.
was crazy.
Insane, dog. That was
Never seen that before.
whenever he did it, I was just like, okay, guys. I mean, he's the greatest. You know what I'm saying? Like I've never once seen him get tired. I don't even think I've ever seen him lose a round. Convincingly.
Not since Dominic Cruz. But
Right.
in flyweight, no.
Yeah.
Tim Elliott probably took that first round against him, but after that it was all Mighty Mouse.
And he never, like I said, man, he never gets tired. Like he never. I mean, it's just insane, man. That guy is
So
just
fast. He had
It
his
was.
arm before
Yeah.
they even hit the ground.
He knew what he was gonna do as soon as he lifted him up. He knew exactly where he was going.
Yeah, that was he's a big video game fan. That was a video game move. I was tweeting, it's like that's like Tekken, Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat.
Yep.
And he says he does it all the time in practice. Like his training partners are probably like, oh, come on.
Yeah, I mean, hey, it happens, man.
Yeah.
Like he's legit, man.
He's crafty, and it's kind of sad that he wasn't the main event, and it's kind of sad that he doesn't pull in the respect, the numbers. But I think it's just because, and I want to get your thoughts about just the MMA culture now. When we were growing up in fighting and even watching boxing, because I know you come from a boxing background, you didn't have to have a grudge match. You didn't have to have the mouth to sell the fight. If you saw skill, because if you look at Ali Frazier, that was more just that skill. Frazier wasn't a super huge talker of that.
Ali just liked to talk. That's just who he was. But yeah, man, like me nowadays is just like sell fights. You gotta talk trash.
Yeah.
Like I mean, only person that talks trash that I really like is Conor McGregor.
Yeah.
I don't like Bisping.
Yeah.
I mean, Bisping can fight, but I don't like him. I don't like Luke Rockhold. It's just, to me, just like the arrogantness and like their attitudes, the cockiness that they have. It's just, I feel as though that you should just go out there and fight, be grateful, be humble, thank your opponent for taking the opportunity to fight you, and then just go on about your business. Let your fighting speak for itself. But everybody's different. But to me, it's moving in the direction of everybody has to call everybody out.
Yeah.
Everybody has to, and I've never been like that. I don't like that.
Well, even going back to it was the day before your fight, the whole Kevin Lee Chiesa thing did not look good really for the UFC too. If you're going to talk trash, Conor is poetic with it. He's a comedian, really. It was just.
But he does it.
But he does it, yeah. Well, he backs it up, but also it's just, you see people, and then you saw Amanda Nunes and Valentina trying, and it just didn't work. I mean, it was just because you're having people just get out of their real comfort zone to make something happen. It's like, you know what? Like Kevin Lee and all, you're just great fighters, and just lead to that. Yep. Let your actions, and that's what we've loved about you. Don't try to do something that Conor, because that's just his personality. It's like Chael and that. That's their personality. When you meet these guys off, that's who they are. Now, I have heard Conor's very humble, and what I like about Conor is
he is very humble though.
He makes no excuses after loss, even in Floyd. He's like, he got me the experience. Tired. Of course, I would have loved to go longer.
He's very
but
composed in there.
Yeah, he's very
composed in there.
Yeah.
He
made a big money day. That's at the end of the day.
That's all that matters.
Well, I think too. You got to know when you got to know defeat. And there's no excuse. He, even against Nate Diaz, he tired out.
Yeah.
And he went to the ground with a black belt. A really top level black belt, and he made no excuse for that. And then he came back and he won. No matter what you thought of that second fight, he's still, at the end of the day, he got the W. And we'll see if we get a third fight out of that.
Yeah,
You
is
think
that
that's
next?
next?
No, it's not. Him versus Tony Ferguson.
It needs
is
to
next,
happen.
Hopefully.
which sucks. I don't want to see him versus Tony Ferguson.
You don't?
No, bro. I want to see Nate Diaz 3.
Yeah.
Because it's too much controversy that needs
Yeah.
to be resolved behind that fight before they
Yeah.
give him the. You know what I'm saying? He's never going to go back to 145.
No, I don't think he
Period.
can make the weight. I remember hearing his
Yeah.
coach talk about how, I mean, I don't want to go back down the weight. If you look at like weigh-ins, I mean, he looked bad.
Yeah.
And then, of course, when he would
Sucked in his
rehydrate.
face and
Yeah.
stuff.
But nah, I want to see him and Nate Diaz 3. you
Well,
know?
win or lose against Ferguson, he could probably do that Nate fight either way, belt or no belt. I mean,
Yeah.
either way.
That to me, that's the money fight. The
Yeah.
the money fight is not Ferguson.
Well, it's
right,
not
right.
fair to
I
fight.
agree. I agree.
yeah.
Well, it's really not fair to fight Nate when, with having the belt, in my opinion, with just because Nate hasn't had that.
Undeserving.
Yeah. I mean,
for
Tony
lack of
is
better
the.
words.
Deserves that title shot. The only thing is Tony's name, even after that win Saturday, is still not big.
Exactly.
And that's not his fault. I mean, this is where we've kind of come to with,
And
casual
I don't
fans
like
and
him.
entertainment.
Oh.
And, I mean, that's an interesting, I think they have the same management, so that's pretty intriguing. That's
Yeah.
good.
And honestly, man, I think Ferguson, he's a big guy. He's big like Conor. He poses a lot of threats. But,
Yeah.
I honestly don't think that he's been cracked by nobody like Conor's going to crack him, man. And I just, Conor's distance and his precision is so on point. And and then I just don't think Ferguson is strong enough to wrestle. I don't think Ferguson's wrestling is better than Chad Mendez's wrestling. You know what I mean? So
I have an interesting possible opponent for him that I think will make things really interesting, and I think it's Justin Gaethje.
oh yeah.
I think Gaethje's wrestling is one of the top in the division.
But he don't even use it. That's the
No,
crazy
because
part.
he lets his hands, and he can
Yeah.
take a punch.
Oh, yeah.
He can take a big punch.
Now
And
that'll be I will watch that fight.
I think
Justin
fans would
Gaethje-
love that after that.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I think honestly, you and Sherman's and his and Johnson's fight. And
Yeah.
Johnson has
that
power.
was a fight, bro. That was a him and
Crazy.
John-
Yeah.
That was
Crazy.
nice. That was
Yeah,
insane. But I think that I think that that Gaethje beats Alvarez, and
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind seeing Gaethje versus Conor, but
we'll see.
I still want that third fight, man.
No, I do too. I don't know what terms it's going to be on. If it needs to be at 155. They're both
Yeah.
155. The only reason why it happened a second time at 170 is just because he lost that first one at
He said he wanted
170.
to go back to 170.
And I mean, Diaz looks good at 150. I mean, he looks good at 150, 155. He has a lot more energy, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And a full training camp. I
Yeah.
mean, I still think Diaz is the better round boxer.
Oh, yeah.
And I personally had Diaz winning that fight. I get the
did too.
knockdown.
Me too.
I think the knockdown's the only thing. If he hadn't had that knockdown, it would have.
I think he won.
Yeah.
Period. I mean, I think he pulled it off, and I think it could have been 2-2 maybe going into the fifth.
Yeah.
but I think he pulled it off.
And
bro.
Connor's gas tank is still suspect. And I mean,
Yep.
those 5 rounds, and that's why I knew the fight with Mayweather was going to happen exactly later rounds
Yep.
like that. I mean, that's 12 rounds. That's a tall task. And
Oh, yeah.
if you had a hard time going through
boxing
25
boxing cardio is different than MMA cardio, and vice versa. Like boxers can't get in there and
Yeah.
go how we go, and then we can't go in there and do 12 rounds either. It's crazy. Like you would think that your body is conditioned enough to do it because we do everything: wrestling, grappling, jiu-jitsu, kickboxing, boxing. But man, when I get in there and I spar with boxers, man, about round 6, you're starting to be like, why am I tired?
Yeah.
It just happens. Like it's just something that happens to MMA fighters when they get into that boxing ring.
Now, you've boxed before, right?
Oh,
yeah, a lot.
4-1 boxing, yeah.
So, and talk about that experience because, this was the whole storyline about the MMA fighter going to the boxing. I think even Tyron Woodley wrote a tweet about certain MMA fighters who could do well. Well, I
Yeah.
mean, you've been in the mix. I mean,
Oh,
talk
yeah.
about that transition between both sports.
I like boxing, man, because boxing is only one discipline. You only got to worry about one thing, and I think that there are boxers that could do well in MMA, but not MMA, but in boxing, MMA fighters that can do well in boxing. But boxing is a science, man. Like, MMA fighters can do good on a boxing level. But when you start getting there with world-class guys like Mayweather and Canelo and Errol Spence and all those kind of, they will expose you. They will, no matter how good, no matter how much you can take a punch, no matter how tough you are, no matter what. True boxers will expose you because there's no footwork in MMA. Boxing is all about angles and cutting and footwork and there's none of that in MMA. Only person there's a few fighters that really have it. Like if you look at Frankie Edgar,
his boxing is good. His footwork,
his footwork, his boxing is great. And you don't see guys move like Frankie Edgar moves. But when you get into that boxing ring, man, I respect boxers. I do because I've been in there. I've done it. I mean, I'm 4-0 in boxing. I have, all knockouts in boxing as well. But at the same time, I wasn't fighting world-class fighters.
Yeah.
Like I get in there with, like Luis Ortiz or what I'm saying, like Klitschko or Joshua, then they'll expose me, you know. But it's a whole nother science, man. Whole nother science. That's like them coming over and trying to do jiu-jitsu. It's just not going to work.
Do you kind of shake your head when you see some of the UFC fighters calling out big boxers out there? Joshua, of course, Stipe and Joshua.
Yeah, I like Stipe, but Joshua also has gas tank issues because he's big. But I understand where my thing comes into play since I've been in both. I hate to see everybody go back and forth.
Yeah,
I just want to be like, listen, man. Everybody respect everybody. You know what I'm saying? Everybody respect. I respect your. We respect your sport. You guys need to respect our sport, because I guarantee you, y'all get in there with us and we'll whoop your ass.
Yeah,
like it won't even take 5 minutes. You
James,
know what I'm
Tony,
saying?
Randy, Couture.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, yes, you have to give an MMA fighter credit for even going past 6 rounds. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? With a world class boxer, versus if one of them come over to MMA, it won't even go around.
But then, you look at like Holly Holm, who made that transition, but she was with Winkle, John and Jackson.
Kickboxer too before.
Yeah, and she's been in that same gym with all the MMA fighters because she's under Mike Winklejohn. So I'm sure she's had dabbled before.
Of course.
And she did all this
So before she even got over to, MMA, she was a kickboxer as well. So she was a boxer and a kickboxer. And then she transitioned into MMA. So kickboxing it's better to cross over to kickboxing than boxing. You know what I'm saying? It's easier to cross over from kickboxing to MMA than it is from boxing to MMA, or from MMA to boxing. It's easier to transfer over from MMA to kickboxing. So she had the experience as far as she was exposed to it a little bit better than an MMA fighter going over to boxing. So to think that you can just go over to boxing and just think that you're just going to take on the best world-class boxers is foolish.
Yeah.
It's foolish, man.
Yeah, I mean, I think just everyone saw what Conor, but only Conor could get that fight because it's Conor.
Yeah,
he is a crossover star.
Yeah,
there's only a few of those in the sport at the moment. Do you want to continue boxing at all, or is it kind of like where you blocked out now? With the UFC?
I want to keep boxing, but the UFC doesn't allow me to.
Okay.
Yeah, so whenever you fight for UFC, you can only fight for the UFC. So I can't take any boxing matches.
Did they ever say why that is? Because I know Bellator allows a lot of it, Joe Schilling does kickboxing and
yeah, that's
MMA.
because it's Bellator has that in their contract. You can do that because they also have Bellator kickboxing. So Joe Schilling fights for Bellator
they have their
kickboxing.
Own kickboxing organization or umbrella, if you will, right?
Exactly. And so Bellator is a little bit more lenient as far as that goes. And then again, Joe Schilling is also not a mainstream fighter for Bellator. He fights for Bellator. They put him on TV, but he's not like King Mo. He's not like Chandler. He's not like these guys that's on all these cards. So they brought him in from the kickboxing background because they knew that he could sell tickets because he was a kickboxer, and they knew that's what his base was. So he's still able to go out there, fight for glory, fight for Bellator kickboxing. But you can other guys can't take a fight. like he takes a fight.
Well, it's, and you got Heather Hardy too, who's like, she's like 23 and something in boxing and MMA. But with the UFC, I mean, there's so many cards too going on with the UFC too. So I mean, if one fighter got hurt in another combat sport, I mean, it kind of really sets back a lot of
You're basically their property. You know what I'm saying? You're a contracted killer. That's what you are.
And I want to ask you, life's been a lot different now since the UFC. I found an old video from May TMZ Sports.
Yeah,
you got to be a part of, and they just ask about just how that you were able to the house and everything, and from the job. What has just life been like since then?
Easier, financial freedom, man. So for me, that's basically what it is, and I'm just using fighting, man, to get ahead in life, and they give me that opportunity, and I see just with the first fight in the UFC, the doors that it can open, and if I'm an exciting fighter, just how they liked or how they saw me the first time, the doors that it can open in my life. So.
Well, did anybody pull you aside after that fight? Did Dana or that? What did they say to you?
Yeah, so after that fight, I went to the as soon as I got done fighting, they had to take you to the hospital, just to get you checked out and everything. And they did MRIs and all that stuff. And when I came back, Dana White was walking with Donald Cerrone and his bodyguards, and he stopped me, and I said, I shook his hand. I said, man, I'm sorry, man. It was short notice. I won't look so tired. He was like, no. He was like, that's exactly what I look for in a fight. He said, that right there is what I want. He says, I said, hey, man, I'm a single dad, man. Let me get that fight of the night, And he was just like, he laughed, and he said, I'm going to tell you something. He says, we're going back to debate about it right now. He says, if you don't get fight of the night, he says, check your mailbox for personal checks from me because you deserve.
Wow.
Yeah, so I was like, man, that meant a lot, bro. Like, it meant a lot. He was thoroughly entertained with my fight, so that meant a lot.
Well, I think fans look at that, and it's so exciting. It's what I call a fan-friendly fight,
sure.
Because that crowd was going. I mean, I'm sure you heard it. And crazy,
it was insane.
What was going through your mind in that walkout?
About to kill him. I mean, that was my mentality, man. And only thing I cared about was putting on a great performance and making my stamp in the UFC. And I wanted people to remember me. And when I got to Vegas the next week, which was a fighters retreat, they picked me up from the airport. We all got to the resort. And as I was getting off of the bus, as soon as I walked into the hotel, man, everybody that is somebody was there, all the fighters. Every last one of them were like, bro. They were like, man, they just walking up to me, taking pictures with me. You know what I'm saying? Shaking my hand. They was like, man, that fight you put on. Like Tyron Woodley, he was one of the first ones. Mickey Gall, and then, Paul Felder. I mean, just the list goes on and on and on. Like a whole bunch of these people that you sitting at home watching, you're like, man, like this dude is, you know what I'm saying? Like fan-friendly fights. Everybody was coming up, man. Machida. Bro. Like all of them. Verdum, like all of them was like, man, your fight was amazing. And that just made me know that, hey, man, I belong here. I can do this. And no longer do I need to be a fan. I need to be the one that everybody's like, hey, man, that boy Rashad, every time he fights, it's going to be a show.
Well, we're running out of time, but finally I want to ask your nickname. It's a very unique nickname.
Yeah.
How did you get that, Daywalker?
King Mo. He looked at me, man. He was like, man, you're the palest black person I know. He was like, man, you pale as a vampire. And he was like, man, he's like, man, you can walk in the daylight. He was like, you're a vampire. He's like, you're a vampire. I'm going to call you Daywalker. He's like, man, you're the palest black person I know. He's like, man, you're as pale as a vampire, so I'm going to call you Daywalker.
Was this earlier in your career, or?
This was before I even had my first fight.
Really?
Yeah, I grew up with King Mo.
Yeah.
So like he used to always joke around and everything. We would go back and forth. I talk about how dark he is. He's like, man, you pale, man. He's like, you know what? Then that's we just. So ever since then, everybody heard it and they just started laughing. They thought it was the most funniest thing they ever heard in their life.
Well, Rashad, we want to thank you again for joining us tonight. Anything you want to say to your fans and family out there?
Thank y'all for tuning in. Thanks for having me, man. I'm just honored, and Man, look, November 18th, y'all look for fireworks, man. I'm going to get my first UFC victory, and we're going to get this shit rolling. We're going to put Dallas on the map, man. Thank you.
Well, thank you again. And once again, thank you, everybody, for tuning in. This has been MMA On Air. And real quick, want to give a shout-out to Fight Fit Lifestyle for always supporting the show. Go on their site, fightfitlifestyle.com. Check out the gear. A lot of great stuff there. Until next week, have a good evening.